Hey, this week we're going to look at another offering from the company Maono. Yes, I'm pronouncing that correctly according to my contact over there. We've already spoken about the company in a previous video. I'll link it up here or below in the description. This time we're going to look at one of their higher end condenser microphones, and I use the term higher end lightly as this mic retails for only $169 US. In the realm of studio mics, this price point is generally considered low, but as we've seen in the past, the low price point doesn't necessarily mean it's low quality. Let's take a look at what you get in the box. Like last time, Maono packs the box full of everything you need to get going with the mic. We have a mic, a pop filter, a pretty robust shock mount that resembles the Roswell Audio shock mount, except that this one is made out of plastic. Another small little desk stand and stem, and a decent length XLR cable. Now, again, this is $169. I want to bring up something here because this really bugs the crap out of me. I have here a shock mount for the AKG C414 series of mics, which are $1,000 microphones. This shock mount alone is only $30 less than the full package that Maono gives you, coming in at $139, okay? So this is $139 just for this shock mount. I wanted everyone to see here at the bottom of this $139 shock mount, this is where the connector is made to the mic stand. So I'm going to zoom in right there. Okay, now here we have the connector for the $169 full package Maono shock mount. Okay, look at the difference here. Do you notice something? You should. Because this substance here is called metal, and it's been used for thousands of years for various things and is still used today because of its durability and resistance to wear and tear when you have parts that need to fit together, like, I don't know, screwing and unscrewing a shock mount to a mic stand sometimes multiple times a day. The connector on the $139 shock mount is plastic, which means that this is going to wear out before this. Get your act together, AKG. It's almost 2023, and there are plenty of hungry competitors out there vying for your slice of the market. Little details like this make a difference, and when you're selling an all-plastic shock mount for $140, people expect it to last, and there's no reason a 25-cent metal piece couldn't be integrated into your product so that it stands up to rigorous use. We have two of these shock mounts in the studio for our C414XL2 and our BULS, and one of them is already starting to get loose. All right, rant over. All right, so what are we looking at inside this mic? Well, it's kind of hard to tell, and the website doesn't help much with the actual specs of the mic. To my eyes, this is an electret capsule and not a true large diaphragm condenser. The position of the wires inside and the plastic housing on the back lead me to believe this, as most larger electrets have similar features. And not knocking electret capsules, in our last video we looked at a 21mm electret capsule in the Mic Parts T25 DIY mic, and we thought that mic sounded great. This diaphragm is 34mm. The other thing that leads me to believe this is an electret is the lower SPL handling rating of 120 decibels. While this is still way louder than what I'd normally capture in the studio, it's still not in the same league as what most of my other large diaphragm condensers and large dynamic mics can handle. That AKG C414XL2 can handle 140 to 158 decibels when the pad is enabled. That's a significant difference. Practical? Not really, unless you're going after very loud sources, and let's face it, a drum set can get loud, especially if you're close micing it. All right, let's talk frequency response for a minute. We went over how to read a mic spec sheet in our impedance video. It's a long video, but you can catch up on just that part, and hopefully there's a card that shows up here, if not, link in the description. Since there was no frequency response chart given on the box or on the website, I reached out to my contact at the company and asked if they had one available. And I was sent this. And wow, this is pretty impressive if true. As a comparison, here's the AKG C414XL2 chart. The mono's pretty flat and has a presence bump of about 2 dB around 5K or so. Can't wait to hear if the tests match with what the chart's saying here. All right, getting back to the other specs, the mic sensitivity is rated at negative 35.3 dBu, which equates to about negative 37.5 dBV. By comparison, the AKG C414 is rated at negative 33 dBV, so in comparison, the mono is actually going to be about 5 dB louder than the AKG at the same gain setting. The output impedance is rated at a very odd 98.7 ohms. It sounds more like a temperature. Usually you'll see nice round numbers here like 50, 100, 150. The AKG mic is rated at 200. The rated load impedance was 1K, which is a practical impedance that most mic pre's can facilitate. The AKG, on the other hand, has a recommended load impedance of 2.2K, which I find kind of odd, as many high-end mic pre's top out at around 2K or below. This is something I might want to check out in a future video, but not really that important right now. The SNR, or signal to noise ratio, or how noisy this mic may present itself, is rated at 70 dBA weighted. This is not terrible, but misses the mark of a good SNR, which is generally accepted around 79 dBA. Again, in comparison, the AKG is rated at 88 dBA weighted, meaning the AKG should be a little bit less noisy overall. The polar pattern is cardioid and is non-selectable, and the mic does require a 48-volt phantom power supply. The build quality seems pretty solid on this mic. It's all metal and there's a couple of layers of mesh around the capsule, neither of which are a very tight pattern, which usually gives a more open sound. We saw this implementation on the T25 from last week's video, and we can see it on the classic AKG C12 microphone as well. One thing I did notice while handling it, the metal seems a little bit resonant. We'll see if that actually comes into play during our test, but that's definitely something to look out for. If needed, this can sometimes be rectified by stuffing the body with something to dampen the resonance. It's not something that you want to have to do to a mic, but if you like the way the mic sounds and the ring is getting you down, it's a plausible fix. Being that this mic tends to be aimed at the caster market as well as a studio mic, I'm going to do a quick vocal test on it to show its performance as a caster mic by doing a rejection test, a sibilance test, proximity, and plosive test. Later, we're going to place a pair over the player piano and one in front of an acoustic guitar alongside the AKG C414XL2 to see how well it can stack up to a mic that's 6 times the price. I'm not expecting the mics to sound all that similar, but when your mic is square shaped like this, the C414 is the first place my head goes for a comparison. It'll also be fun to see what a $170 mic can do against a $1,000 mic. So let's get to the tests. This is my voice right on the mic. This is my voice 6 inches away from the mic. This is my voice approximately 1 foot away from the mic. This is 6 inches away, 0 degrees on axis. This is 6 inches away, 90 degrees off axis. This is 180 degrees off axis, 6 inches. This is my voice for the proximity effect, and I'm speaking low like I'm on NPR. Simple Simon said something stupid. Simple Simon said something stupid. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Going back to that resonance issue, we can see that the mic does have a resonance at 180 and 3K. This is something that I'm going to have to play around with a bit offline to see if I can mitigate with a little bit of foam inside the body and maybe even some under the grill. Was it noticeable in the tests? Not really, but it's still something I'd rather fix than have to deal with at mix time. All right, so what do you think about the comparison? Is there a $1,000 difference between these two mics? Is this something you could see yourself using for casting or in the studio somewhere? Let's chat about it down in the comments below. For the money, I have to hand it to them. Maono has certainly delivered a seriously strong offering for $169. Resonance issue aside, I could still see this mic being useful for a few applications on voice and in the studio where I want something kind of flat that I don't need a ton of gain for. Please like and subscribe if you got anything from this video so I can continue to bring you these videos every week or so. Well, that's it for this time. This is Pags, signing off.